Adam called his wife Stephanie's cell phone. "Meet me after work today," he said. Adam sighed and ended the call. Perhaps he was worrying unnecessarily and he needed to stop pressuring his wife. But he had good reason to worry. Stephanie worked as a manager for a large company. 6 months ago, the company needed to hire additional managers for one of its projects. Among them was Fred, a lively and confident man. He quickly joined the team, participating in every conversation and trying to fill in all the gaps. At first, Fred's attention was divided among all the coworkers. However, in the last couple of weeks, he began to show more and more interest in Stephanie. Adam first became aware of this when his wife started telling interesting stories about Fred trying to win her over. He later witnessed Fred escorting her out of the office building. One evening, while their car was being repaired, Adam decided to take a walk to his wife's place of work so she wouldn't have to walk alone in the dark. He saw Fred open the glass door in front of Stephanie, playfully bowing and gesturing for her to walk through like a queen. Stephanie laughed awkwardly and Fred supported her, leading her down the stairs. "That buffoon is hitting on you," her husband said dryly. "Oh, come on. He's always like that. We're just friends. Why don't we go home?" replied Stephanie. Adam did not believe in friendship between a man and a woman. He believed that Fred was just fooling Stephanie, and she naively believed that it was just a friendship. Since then, the man made it a rule to wait for his wife in the lobby after work. He did this on purpose so that the annoying coworker would see that she had a husband who was there for her. He also wanted the coworker to keep his distance and not touch his wife. At first, the woman was pleased with her husband's attention, but as time went on, she felt suffocated and asked him to lessen his attention. She reminded him that they were married and the coworker Fred was just a coworker. Understanding her request, her husband tried to keep himself in control, although sometimes he succeeded. Once the situation got out of control, and he lost his temper. In the evening, a phone call sounded in their apartment. Adam opened the door and found a delivery man there. "Hello, you have a parcel," the young man greeted cheerfully. "But I didn't order anything," the man replied, surprised, looking at the box. "It's a gift. There's a note here," the courier explained, handing the box to the man and leaving. Adam took the note and read it aloud. "To the beautiful Stephanie, your hands work wonders." Inside the box was a set of fruit. The moment Stephanie stepped out of the kitchen to see who was at the door, her husband spoke through clenched teeth, holding out the note to her. The woman took the note, reread it a few times, and gave her a perplexed look before bursting into laughter. "So it's from Fred," she said, before her husband interrupted her angrily. "Ah, from Fred. You must be out of your mind. What miracles have your hands managed to work?" He threw the box against the wall with force, which caused Stephanie genuine consternation. "He had a computer problem at work, and I fixed it." Think to yourself, why would he give gifts to a married woman? Tell me. The husband continued to be indignant. Can't he just express his gratitude for my help? Is it forbidden because I am married? Stephanie defended her coworker, realizing that his anger was not caused by the gift itself, but by the ambiguous content of the note. Adam and Stephanie retired to separate rooms to calm down. It seemed to be done on purpose, as if Fred knew that her husband would read it and have questions. However, after a couple of days, the quarrel was forgotten. Everything went back to normal, and Adam had a lot of work as a sound engineer. He was involved in various events, making sure the musicians sounded good, or moonlighting at festivals. With so much work, he managed to distract himself from the constant surveillance of his wife and annoying colleague. Then one day, Stephanie mentioned that there was a corporate party at work in honor of the company's anniversary. She had to choose a dress and jewelry to keep up with the other girls in her department. However, her husband was not keen on the idea, not because of the outfits, but because he had seen the corporate parties at his work, and they did not inspire confidence in him. Informal atmosphere and excessive drinking often led to licentious behavior. Adam gently voiced his concerns to his wife, worried for her safety, and suggested that they go out together. Stephanie immediately became indignant, accusing him of selfishness and claiming that he had never invited her anywhere. Realizing how it looked, Adam didn't resort to control tactics and stressed that he was simply concerned for her well-being. He begged her to at least stay away from that guy, although he felt a little calmer. He didn't want to escalate the argument further, so he ended the conversation. The day of the company party came, and in the afternoon, Stephanie went to the beauty parlor to get her hair done. Adam had an event canceled for the day, so he decided to work on a music project for his acquaintances at home. They needed help mixing tracks for their new album. After saying goodbye to his wife, he sat down to work. Toward evening, he received a notification on his phone about a job opening for a sound engineer. A sound engineer was urgently needed for a corporate party that was to be held that evening. The previous performer had fallen ill, creating an urgent need. Adam wrote down the name of the client and the address of the corporate event. The client was the company his wife worked for. He quickly responded to the ad, putting his friend's project on hold for later. He wanted to make sure his wife was okay before heading out, but doubts crept in at the back of his mind. The presence of a sound engineer at a corporate party didn't require a special dress code because they usually blend into the background. Adam decided to wear a comfortable voluminous hooded sweatshirt and dark jeans so that he would not be so easily recognized. He entered the hall with his hood up and took a seat at the back of the hall, where he had a good view of the entire venue and guests. The evening began with speeches from the company executives, congratulations and thanks to the employees. After the formalities were completed, a group of musicians took the stage. Adam only needed to set up their sound, which was no problem. Besides, he had a chance to observe the guests of the party. Most of them were sitting at tables, making toasts and carrying on conversations. Some even made their way to the dance floor. Adam spotted his wife among the guests, who was sitting at a table closer to the stage. Surrounded by female colleagues, she was chatting and laughing merrily. Maybe I was worried for nothing. Stephanie is just having fun with her friends, he thought. A few hours later, the musicians finished their performance. Someone from the company treated them to snacks, and they, having collected their instruments, left the stage. It was now Adam's job to play dance music and entertain the employees. Everyone at the party was in high spirits and already quite intoxicated. The guests got up from their seats and started dancing, making humorous entertainment that even made Adam laugh. Some, however, seemed a little unsure of their feet. Adam briefly lost sight of his wife and began to look for her in the audience. As he looked around, a woman approached him with a tray of appetizers in her hands. "Hello, handsome. Are you hungry?" The stranger tried to enunciate the words clearly, though it was obvious she was drunk. She set the plate down next to Adam and leaned closer, shouting over the loud music. "And you're all alone here, huh?" "You know, I've always been attracted to creative people," the girl continued. "I'm at work. I'm married. I don't need a date." Sorry, the surprised stranger waved her hands and left. Adam continued his search for Stephanie, finally finding her. But what he saw only upset him. She returned to the hall not alone, but with Fred, who was supporting her with a mischievous smile. He led Stephanie to the center of the hall and began to dance with her. His wife laughed and snuggled against her colleague's neck. Adam began to boil with anger. How could she behave like this? Where were their boundaries? After a few seconds, Fred began to openly grope her, and she continued to laugh. The husband could not believe his eyes. It seemed that all his entreaties to remain calm were in vain. Deep down, he realized that it was not nothing. Adam pulled himself together. Fury was boiling in him, and he was ready to throw himself at Fred right here and now. However, he couldn't afford to act so unprofessionally and ruin the evening. He restrained himself, knowing that he would have a chance to voice those concerns later. The man had completely forgotten about work. In the midst of his excitement, a slow song played, interrupting his thoughts. It was the song they had danced to at the wedding, and it held great meaning for both of them. Stephanie noticed the music too and stopped Fred, releasing herself from his embrace. Finally, she looked in Adam's direction. As soon as her gaze fell on him, she immediately realized it was him. Her eyes were filled with despair. With an unsteady gait, swaying slightly, she walked toward her husband, who already had tears in his eyes. His cold gaze met hers as he shook his head solemnly. It dawned on her. This was the end. Certainly, Adam had not forgiven his wife for such an egregious act. The events that followed led to a scandal, and eventually to divorce. However, before that he decisively dealt with her unfaithful lover, making this scoundrel realize that such acts do not go unpunished.